have to go back, we have them do problem solving, but we have an assessment, you really have to take test taking skills. And so sometimes it doesn't lend itself to what the children really know, or it really doesn't prepare them for the end result, which is college. So now the educational system throughout the United States, the president's coming in saying something's not right here. And so now we're moving to Common Core, where we're solely, leading from MSA to Common Core to say, okay, that's when we have to talk about the actual performance of students. And so when you say 50%, really, so that's why it's a challenge to say 50% is okay or MSA proficient, but we want our students to do far better than that, because it's not, you don't want them to be right there. That means that there's still some more work to do, especially when they go to the next grade level, and we really see how that impacts middle school. Because we want to make sure that our students who are going to our theater, which is Thomas Johnson, that they are strong readers and mathematicians, and not that Thomas Johnson just sees a proficient student. What exactly is proficient? And so we want to be able to tweak to that. So that's what that 50%, 60, and so forth. But as a school, we'll try to take it up to what 100% skill would actually look like. But we discuss those things with parents, so it's clear for them in terms of how we're moving students.
I just wanted to see when you have your abbreviations, if you could spell them out, because I know a lot of parents didn't know what AMO was. And the FAST program, is that something that all the schools use, or is this something that you're just instituting?
Right. In Prince George's County, we have what's called a formative assessment system test that we have, and this is testing that the students take for math and for reading. And they take the test, it's given to them 3 times a year. So they take the FAST test in October. They then take the FAST test again in January, and then they take the last FAST test, which is the 3rd testing in May, which they'll take next month for the county.
And then AMO stands for?
And the AMO is actually, that's just the target that we need to have in terms of passing percentage for our schools. So, for the FAST, no, not for the FAST, that's for MSA. So the Maryland State Assessment Test that they took in March, the AMO is 89.7%. So when we compile all of this together and we look at where we are as a school, that helps us to be able to see, are we at that AMO? Have we met the AMO? If we're looking at the MSA predictor, FAST 2 is really your MSA predictor to see, are you there? So we use that to target whether or not we're going to meet the goal for passing for the AMO score, which is 89.7%.
Like the PSAT is like the SAT, but the SAT is preparing.
Well, right, your PSAT is preparing for that.
Right.
Yes.
So the score that actually is published on the internet is the MSA.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
But the FAST gives you an indication.
Exactly. And so the FAST 2 is really, that is our pre-MSA predictor. That's what we look at.
So even on FAST, the school system tries to put in as many skills as possible that may come on MSA. You don't know all, but unless you go in K-12 and say these are what, first grade should be, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and so on. And so what the system has done, PG County has created what's called FAST. And it's just an assessment for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. So it's just a predictor of, okay, just make sure that the students are mastering those skills so that they can get into habit and practicing those test taking skills of bubbling and all of that. And so we use this as a predictor, and it's annual measurable objectives. So it changes. So last year was different. Next year it'll be different. It continues to go because we have no child left behind. President Bush said so by 2014, 100% of students, and so AMO continues to go up. Thus leading us to Common Core to say this isn't working. Because we have our students who are autistic who have to take, our autistic students who have to take MSA, but doesn't really show what they know. So that's what that conversation is, that's what we're doing, No Child Left Behind for. There's several changes in the education system in the United States. And it's not just with Maryland, it is nationwide.
Quick question. Yes. So are your students taking this twice a year? 4
times a year?
This test is 3 times a year, so they take it in October, January, and then Wednesday.
In addition to MSA.
In addition to MSA, in addition to, and we've gone, at our school, we've gone above and beyond. We have been also providing our students with unit assessments. So we've been taking those small little increments in between each, like for 3 to 4 weeks, we've been gauging where the students are data-wise by providing them with unit assessments. So we've had other assessment that we have been looking at to see where are our kids. Do we need to go back and reteach some things? Do we need to go back and how are we going to go back and plan for those students who did not meet these indicators that were taught? So we like Ms. Marshall stated earlier, we are a data-driven culture. And so we're analyzing all types of data. So it's not just our FAST data, it's not just the data that we're going to receive from the state for the MSA test, but we'll also have unit assessment data that we also use to track and to see how our students are growing and progressing throughout the year.
So question. So this FAST 1 and FAST 1 are the grades that are from 8 kindergarten for 7 grades.
The FAST testing is only for the testing grades. So testing grades are any grades 3 and up. So the testing grades, now we do have unit assessments that we provide for our 1st and 2nd grade. Those are math unit assessments that they take in increments. So within a 4-week time span, they'll have another unit assessment that they will take, but it will be based on the skills that they have learned within those 4 weeks. And then they have another 4-week of skills and things that they're learning, and then they'll take another unit assessment. So the teachers are using those unit assessments to see how are our students doing, how many students have met that 90% or because our standard at our school is 90% or better. That's what we're looking at for students who are advanced. If you are 70 to 89%, you are considered to be proficient. If you're below 70% at Glendale Elementary, you are considered to be basic, because we feel that all students should be able to be 70% or better. 90% or better is definitely our target goal and what we are enforcing and instilling in our kids, which is the importance to really meet that expectation.
Do you think that this data will transition to the MSA? Because if that's true, do you think your MSA scores will be different this year than last year?
No, this data does transition to the MSA.
So, right, what I'm saying, if that's true, then your MSA score seems like, obviously a lot of MSA scores, it seems like they would be different than the previous MSA scores in the past.
They should.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
This looks different.
Yes. That's because that's exactly what it is. So I just want to, let me answer your question.
I mean, as I look at these scores, they appear to, and we haven't seen the MSA scores, but they appear to be better than where Glendale was 3 or 4 years ago. So that's great to see. A question I have, I had a really interesting conversation with, Mr. B over at Tulip Road. What's his name? Mr. Badone or something like that? So the principal at Tulip Road, he used to be at a school in Huntington. And he described for me, he said, when I was principal at Hyattville, he said everything about the culture was teaching to the test. When we moved to Tulip Grove, totally different performance culture there is. We teach, the kids learn, we teach, the kids learn, and then the last 2 or 3 days before the test, we get them prepared for the test, they take the test, and then it's back to. So I'm just curious what the culture is at Glendale on kind of that spectrum.
It's definitely a learning culture. We do like curriculum mappings, we're like project-based, we have to get involved. And yes, testing is a part of what we do, but the biggest thing that we test for is for the teachers. How can we assess what skills does that child need? What can we do to make sure they can match them on the test? And I know it sounds like a lot of test, but a lot of that testing the kids, they know it's something they do, it's like they come to class, it's something they do, it's not a big deal to them. They know that they've been working hard since August to do finally MSA. It's not that we're pushing testing, but it is something that we have to do, but we are building a culture of learning, engagement.
So it's not kind of drill oriented.
No. We were here before Ms. Marshall, and so the teachers had to go through the cultural transition too. Previously, we were following the curriculum. When Ms. Marshall came in, what happens is after you take one of these tests, literally individual indicators come out, summarizing a paragraph, predicting
And then we teach to those indicators. So we're not teaching to test, we're teaching to get the indicators to know what to teach.
But doesn't the curriculum define what should be taught and what our students should be mastering on a national level, state level, for you to get a better indication of where those fast scores need to go for MSA?
So the curriculum is developed school, system-wide.
Yes.
And the curriculum is a resource. So it is not, this is because that resource could say, okay, you are to cover these things in the first quarter. Well, if my class, I need to change some things around, that's what we're speaking to. So if the curriculum says we're going to cover main idea, and my class is not ready for that, then that changes it around. So that's it changes around what I need to do. Maybe I need to spend more time in this area. Maybe I need to do some more small groups. So our instructional practice has to change to best suit the student in our class, because the curriculum is suited for this is how you can cover for the year. Well, we have to look at what's in the best interest of the students in the classroom. And also as things change a little bit in terms of Common Core, because what we also found that while we have the curriculum, how they're more challenging, that's also a shift. So in looking at this, just to provide a little bit more clarity for you, is that when the students come in, the students currently, as you know, still transitioning into Common Core, is that the state of Maryland says kindergarten should be able to do this, first and second. Common Core is actually saying they can do more. So where's the challenge? What I found is that schools, parents in general, are like, well, at this school, not even in a public school, just say a private school, what have you, or a Montessori, the children are doing this. So what more of this? And so when you're looking at the curriculum, you're looking at it as a resource, but can my students be extended, or do I need to review something? And so again, it is a resource, but that's why we have teachers who have the experience to make the necessary decisions about extending the learning, reviewing, bringing in any other interventions. Now regarding assessments, they are what they are. We all have to take FAST for grades 3 through 5, and currently MSA is in place. And so what I compare it to is almost like working out. In the summer, a lot of times people want to be fit. And so when you start the regimen, you really don't want to do it. Because you're like, oh my God, I got to get up, or I got to get to work. And so there is a system of, okay, I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to start working out. And so it becomes a practice and a habit of what is developed, so that in the summer, you look the way you want to look. And so what we found is that we don't teach to the test, but we teach to, okay, this is what the child needs to be able to do in kindergarten, first, second grade. The test then lends itself to say, okay, this is how they assess. Now, we may find through conferencing, through other work, that the child really has it. And sometimes you're like, this is just what it is, but we know that the child is capable of doing this. And that also is the fight, because as a parent, you're seeing the score like at MSA, well, wow, the school is at this percent or that percent. But again, while we're shifting to Common Core, is that assessment doesn't always show truly what a child knows. So what we've done coming in is our data is quantitative and qualitative. What you're showing here, what we're showing here is just the quantitative in terms of here are the numbers. So how do you get this number based on what you have? Well, we have to look at what the students will be tested on, what they've mastered, and what they haven't. And so what we're showing you here is that basically 91% of our students have gotten the core of those skills on that particular grade level. How we move them, that's a whole nother conversation we can keep here all day about instruction.